What's up, guys? This is Wes with Sincity Tactical. We want to thank you to the live stream show, and we do have Jackson Griff both on today. We've got a variety of topics going, and we definitely want to get jumping right into this. So let's go ahead and bring them up onto the screen.
Howdy.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Wes?
How's it going?
Yeah, not too shabby.
Great as always.
Good to hear. All right, first things first, sincitytactical.xyz or minnesotaoverlander.xyz. Check that out. We've got new merch up for both sides of the brand. One thing that I do want to present, and I'm going to bring this up on the screen here, kind of in a shout-out format. Give me 1 second. Oh, come on. Okay. We're going to share screen here. Entire screen. Let's bring this up into the screen here. I do want to present this to Mr. Jax Cook. What it states is a certificate of completion. Jax Cook, full membership into the SCT operators and becoming the head of the Minnesota Overlanders, signed by your owner-operator of Sincity Tactical. Officially, which it's been official for a while, but super official now, Mr. Jax Cook.
Hey, thank you.
And then we also have Mr. Griff as well, becoming a Minnesota Overlanders operator. Welcome to the team. Once again, has already been super official, but we are going to display these here. We got some awards. These will be sent out to you guys here soon. There's Jax, and there's Griff.
Woot.
Super official. All right. So that was a quick little shout out to you guys. Now we're going to do actual shout outs real quick. So the first thing that I want to shout out, once again, Controlled Pair Munitions. I want to thank them for allowing us to do an interview. They just moved into their new, bigger location. So very soon I will be going back to do a new interview and to do a visual of the new store. So definitely excited for that. There is another person that I want to give a shout out to. Give me a second. Get this all pulled up. All right. Oh, crap. I got to show screen again. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Real quick. All right. So show and stream. Here we go. Okay. Noto Cato has designed some logos for me, and I do want to present that real quick. I know I did a live stream the other day and showed all of that stuff, but one of the logos that you'll see, and I have selected this after doing some voting to make this the new official Sincity Tactical logo. You'll find it in the top right-hand corner of the screen. That is going to be the main Sincity Tactical logo. There's a bunch of different variants that you'll also find as well. But big shout out to Noto Cato. You can find him on Instagram. He is a graphics designer, helped me design my logos. So if you're looking for graphic design work, check him out. NOTO KATO, all one word. And direct message him for any graphic design needs that you might have. Jax, you got any shout outs you'd like to give?
You know, I guess we'll start out again with Mr. John from Warrior Poet. I know there's constant content that's coming out from them over there, which is awesome. It's great to not only see them still doing their thing on YouTube, but they also have their own network now. And that's been around for a while. Warrior Poet Society Network. Yes, it's paid subscription. for that, but go over there, check that out, and support those guys. Definitely not getting any kickback or anything for saying that from John or anybody over at Warrior Poet, but personally, I feel they cover stuff that is a little bit more in depth on some of the things that, you know, we cover in our hour-long live stream. So that's definitely a plus side. You can get multiple different variations and opinions and knowledge across the board there. And then the second shout out I wanted to go ahead and do was to Modern Sportsman down in Burnsville. Like Griffith said before, great store to go into. The people that work there are helpful. So if you're ever in Minnesota or you're watching this and you're in Minnesota and you're looking for a new fun store for toys, we'll just call it toys, go over there and check those guys out.
Absolutely. Griff, you got any shout outs?
Yes, as always, I'd like to shout out George at G3 Survival. He is a guy that I work closely together who hand makes leather goods for the Remington and Mossberg shotgun series, along with leather patches, sheaths, and anything else. In fact, I had just delivered him some new embossers this week, so check out the new designs on his website, g3survival.com. And a little tip for everyone, I was over at Bill's Gun Range in Hudson, Wisconsin, just across the river. They have 5.56 in stock. Limit 5 boxes.
Well, that's more than we're getting out here in Vegas. We don't have any type of limiting like that. Ours are limited to like 1 or 2 boxes per customer, if you can even find it. So that's good to see that you guys are getting more access to ammo. Maybe that'll start working its way down here to the West Coast.
Well, it helps that we have the federal plant up here in Minnesota.
Right. Well, not to mention, we did do a live stream show where Griff talked about, and I am going to be kind of breaking up the list a little bit more, trying to get some more information on it. But he talked about casting your own bullets with powder coating them and stuff, and how he can make them for 4 cents to 9 cents a round, depending on what you're doing. That's a viable option. Of course, the overhead cost to get all the things that you need is going to be expensive. Long-term versus short-term, the ROI or return on investment is very high when it comes to casting your own bullets.
Let me quickly interject there. For the past 5 days I've been off work. I've casted for about an hour, strictly 9mm. And over those 5 days, I've already covered my ROI about twofold. So it may seem steep at first. It is a very quick return on investment.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to be looking into getting my own materials to be able to do it. Financially, right now, that's something I have to personally hold off on. But definitely going to make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one quick alibi before we move forward real quick. For everybody out there that's listening or watching, like Griff said, he's already doubled it twice on his return on investment. However, definitely something to think about. I was out at Walmart just this morning, and even for 5.56 or 9mm round, there's still none on the shelves at Walmart. All you can really find there is 12 gauge and buckshot and birdshot, and then I think slug, and that's pretty much about it. Maybe 20 gauge if there's a box sitting on the shelf, but very slim pickings pretty much, in the sporting goods section out there. So it'd be something worth investing in the long run. You're going to thank yourself for going and actually getting into casting your own.
Right. And the Walmarts out here, I don't know if it's the same out there. They don't sell 9mm at all. They will not sell any pistol caliber ammo anymore out here in Vegas.
Yeah, I think they may have swapped to 86 and 9mm up here. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
But I
I do.
know. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Griff.
I do believe that's nationwide ever since that last major shooting we had, where Dick's took action, Walmart took action. So I believe Walmart across the board is no longer selling handgun ammo.
Yeah, I suppose that does make sense.
It does, but it doesn't, because I don't understand, right? Like, ammo is ammo. Not selling pistol ammo doesn't stop crime from happening. It's going to stop me from buying it from you, which means you're making less money, but I can still buy my shotgun shells from you, which I can still be deadly with. I can
Yep.
buy rifle ammo, which 9 times out of 10 is going to be stronger than your 223 and or 5.56. You do a 308 or something like that, I'm putting your ass down if it came down to it with it. You know what I mean? So what are you really accomplishing by not selling pistol ammo is kind of what curves my mindset on it. Like, why are we not having that happen anymore? I understand what they're trying to do. It's like taking a knee during the anthem. It's irrelevant and the wrong, in my opinion, the wrong time, wrong thing to do. But it's also their store, and as America, you have choose. You know, you have the right to choose what you want to sell, and you can refuse to sell to anybody. So
Yeah.
not good, but it is what it is. All right, so let's move past the shout out spot here. Let's get into that tactical gear item. I would like to start with Mr. Griff.
All right. My tactical gear item of the week is something extremely simple that, if you're like me and many other Americans out there, our daddies carried one, our grandpappies carried one, and so on and so forth, is just a great folding pocket knife. I personally carry a Buck 110 myself, just because it's strong, reliable, very easy to sharpen, and it simply works. I've got several coworkers that still carry their issued Buck 110 knives back from service in the mid 60s, and it's still going strong. So just a nice, strong, simple knife. It's hard to beat it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jax.
All right. So, firstly, to touch on that buck knife, basically, to sum up, I agree with you. Those knives have stood the test of time for years. Great knives. I personally side with my Crambit still, but that's just me. However, if I had to in a pinch pull out a buck knife, I guarantee, I'd be totally okay with it. I know I could trust that knife to get the job done. However, my tactical gear item of this week is a little bit more simple than a knife. A little more on the electronic side too. So basically, what I have here is a portable battery pack. However, it's not just a normal battery pack, it's a solar powered battery pack. So it gets even better. And try not to blind our audience here for a second. It also doubles as a flashlight. It's got strobe, 2 USB ports, a charging port. So if you're in an area where you're not necessarily covered by sunlight, it can still be charged. It's a multi-versatile tool, though. You take it out in the field with you. You can use it to charge things up and not have to worry about it ever really running out of juice because it has the solar panels. So in a shit hit the fan type scenario, and you're putting together, we're not going to use the term bug out bag, but a take along bag, for instance. When you're packing that, yeah, we talked about the clothes and, maybe some food rations and, this and that. But one of the firm things that I always, will stand by and believe in and throw in my bag even is some portable battery chargers. I've got like 4 or 5 different ones. This is the first solar power one I've had. been using it the last couple of days. Works great. Actually, surprisingly, after I charged it up in the house, I took it outside with me today and used it, and I'm still at a full battery. So, definitely invest in something that's going to be useful long run, especially for instances like cell phones. They can die and wear out on you battery wise. But if you have something like that, you don't have to worry about it. Hey, all right, cool, I can plug it into this. But then now you're worried about that dying. With the solar powered one, you don't have to. So definitely invest in something like that.
How much does a solar powered portable charger cost?
Okay, so surprisingly, this specific brand I actually found at a local gas station. It was about after tax $29.38. It looks like it has a rubberized waterproof casing around it too, so that's kind of nice. I'll have to test that out here in the future.
Hey,
But
Jax?
yeah,
Jax,
pretty inexpensive.
buy me one, I'll pay you back. It's awesome.
All right. Sounds good there, brother.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to pick me one of those up. I think that was an excellent item to display for tactical gear because of the fact that it's not just something that can be misplaced, right? And when I say misplaced, what I mean is it's an everyday item, whether you're at work, whether you're camping, whether you're stranded, you can keep it's multifaceted. You have a light on it, the solar power charging, so you can still charge devices, even if it's not a phone. If you have like an LED light source and then your light source dies, you can recharge your flashlight. There's numerous capabilities, and that's something, me personally, I'd get two of them. I'd keep one in my everyday carry bag, my EDC bag, and one in the truck at all times. I think that is a fantastic item. I'm definitely going to have to look into that.
Hey, Wes, I just want to quickly couple it.
After we're off of here real quick, at the end of the show, I'll have to see if I can pull it up on the website for them, and then I'll send you guys the link for it. Obviously, Griff, I'll pick you one up sometime within the next week or so.
Cool. I do want to quickly piggyback off of Jax there, Wes. There's other things, much like this 18650 battery made by Streamlight, $20 a piece. Really doesn't show up well on camera, but it does have a USB charging port integrated directly into the battery. So instead of having to carry like a proprietary charger plus cable plus battery bank, you have a cable, you have a bank, battery, done.
That's awesome. One thing that I'm going to look into, because I like to take my Chromebook with me when I carry my EDC bag. I think that would be fantastic for keeping the laptop charged, because not everybody has access to a inverter that they can plug in or a converter into their car, or they may not be in an area where they have that capability. And the cord always, it's not a regular cord. It's got this stupid huge power block on it and a 12-foot cable. And so I'm going to look into that for sure. Great item, both of you guys. Fantastic item. So my tactical gear item is not my lighter. That just happened to be in the camera and is making me upset. Okay, the Up Lula Speed Loader. So I love this thing. This is fantastic. Works with multiple different pistol calibers, multiple different magazines, and is very, very versatile. I don't know how many people watching the show have sat there and loaded multiple magazines, one after the other. I personally keep all my magazines fully loaded at all times. I'm a big believer in I can buy replacement springs if I need to, but most magazines will hold ammo for up to 10 years without having a problem where you can pick it up and shoot it. Of course, you'll have a couple of duds, but when you're like me and you have 30 FDE AR mags and then 30 black AR mags and a bunch of pistol mags, I can make up for some that decide to fail because it's the same concept with open carrying and or concealed carrying. If you're not carrying one in the pipe, you're not ready. And if you're not ready, I don't know anybody who's got time when they've got a gun pointed at them to then unholster their weapon, cock it back, get it loaded, and then take a shot before your adversary and or enemy will have access to what they're going to shoot you with or whatever the case may be, because they're already ready. That was the point of what I'm making. So speed loader, doing it with your thumb, trying to sit there and push ammo in can get very strenuous. Plus, anybody who's worked with any type of hand tool knows that, perfect example, taking a nut. You can tighten it down as much as you can with your fingers, try to crank it down, but the second you put a crescent wrench or some type of tool on it, and you sat there and cranked it with your hand, couldn't get it to go anymore, I could take a wrench and just do this, and it was nothing, and it over-tightened it more than my hand did. So leverage is a big thing. This will save your wrists, save your thumbs, allow you to load faster, makes shooting more convenient, and overall makes my experience with shooting a lot better. Now, I also have a speed loader for my AR mags and for my AK mags. So it's all stuff that you guys can look into. That brand for the pistol speed loader was about $30, is up. So UPLULA speed loaders. Definitely check that stuff out.
Yeah, and speaking from personal experience, I carry one with me in my shooting bag every time I go out to competition, especially a major event where I'm loading 6 mags 11 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I agree with you there. I've been out to the range with me on comp days and that, and I've actually seen him pull it out of the range bag and run it, especially after, hand loading maybe the first couple of times after course of fire. So it definitely saves your hands and wrists in the long run, like what Wes was saying. And I think, not necessarily speaking for you, Griff, but I think you'd agree having that on hand is kind of a necessity if you're reloading nonstop.
Right.
Exactly. Sorry, I was checking a business post there. All right, so I think that wraps it up for the tactical gear items. If anybody has any questions about any of the items that you saw on the live stream today and you weren't part of the actual live stream, say you're rewatching it, you can reach out to me on Facebook directly through the Sincity Tactical page, or you can go on to the Minnesota Overlanders page and reach out through them. They'll also be able to help you with finding any of those items if you have trouble, and possibly be able to help you find a better deal on any of those items. So we are going to move into the next topic, and we're going to let Jax take this one over. The Minnesota officer, not Overlanders, Minnesota officer that was released, and this is the officer that was involved with the George Floyd incident. Is that correct?
Yeah, so, he was involved in it. The other 3 obviously got released on bail or, just released and dropped the charges in general. However, on Wednesday, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was released from the correctional facility and posted bail. So let's see here. It says he was held at Oak Park Heights Correctional Facility, and let's see, the other 3 officers were there with him too at the same correctional facility before their release. Now, Chauvin left the facility at 9:40 a.m. on Wednesday to be transferred to Hennepin County Jail in order to post his bail, and then left Hennepin County Jail at 11:22 a.m. Now, the bond that was posted was $1 million with conditions. He can't leave the state, obviously, without written court approval. And he is to have no contact with the family of George Floyd and must remain law-abiding and make future court appearances when they actually take it to trial. So not just stating that, but right after his release, the governor of Minnesota uh, deployed stateside here the Minnesota National Guard. I believe it was about 100 soldiers that were deployed, maybe more. And from my personal standpoint, until his trial happened, he shouldn't have been released. The only thing that's going to cause is more rioting, more looting, possible, outroar from the general public. It doesn't matter what state in the U.S. I know when it first happened, the news spread widely throughout the entire United States, and there were rioting and protests everywhere over it. Now he's out on bail. Imagine what that's going to start.
Right. Exactly. It's scary to think about, because when the George Floyd thing happened, it did not just affect Minnesota. It affected all the way over here, 3,000 miles away, plus in Las Vegas and the Nevada area. There was protests and rioting and looting and burning of, casinos and stuff like that was going on around here. Not the burning stuff as much out here, but definitely crazy protests. I remember freeways being blocked by people standing in the freeways. I remember the Las Vegas Strip, which is the main tourist attraction for Vegas, being 100% shut down for like a week at a time. It got crazy. And I think releasing this officer, like you said, before the trial happened, wrong move. Definitely wrong move, especially with look at what else is going on. We're coming up on the election. We're dealing with that. We're just now trying really hard to get everything back to a normal state. And now it kind of seems like they're fanning the fire. But this is America. And unfortunately, some people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say. But what I am going to say is, because it's America and we have freedom, he was entitled to the same right as anybody else. If it wasn't arrest without the possibility of bail and or parole or any of that crap, then that would be the case. But they did not make those stipulations, unfortunately, with this particular case. And I think it's just going to incite a lot more riots, like you said. What do you think, Griff?
Well, I completely agree with you. He is afforded the same rights as every other citizen in every other case. That's how our Constitution was written, and that's how it should be followed. But I believe where the fault lies is the media blowing up that he's been released. Because all that's going to do is stoke the fire in everyone's bellies to go back out and riot and protest and burn things down again. Something like that, in my opinion, should have just been kept hush-hush, wait until after the trial, and then release all the information so you can actually form our proper, fully informed opinions on what happened.
Right.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I should quote where I got all that from. Another news station. I know I'm primarily Fox 9, but the clip from the story that I pulled out was from WCCO4. Again, like Griff was saying, looting, rioting, burning things down once was already bad enough. Releasing that out to general public, and like you said as well, Wes, was wrong move on the media's part to go ahead and even disclose that information before the trial was even held. Not only are we dealing with the election, like you said, and trying to get back to some sort of a normalized life here, even still somewhat dealing with COVID. I'm not going to necessarily say that it's not still a major thing, because I'm sure it is in the hospitals, but at least from my standpoint, I'm not necessarily hearing too much about it unless there's new cases. So we're dealing with that. And then, we're still trying to rebuild and fix things up from the last round of rioting and looting and burning down buildings. So the third precinct, as you know, was burned down.
Yep.
And now when he got released, I guess protesters already were starting. They were outside, I believe, the fifth precinct, if I remember correctly. And so that's why the National Guard was called in. And they told the protesters, if you guys don't leave now, we're going to start arresting people. Total tally of people arrested, I believe, that night that it happened was a total of 55 people that ended up going and getting arrested because they decided that they were going to stay and continue to protest when they should have went ahead and skedaddled as soon as they had the word to.
Absolutely. And you know, one last thing that I'm going to bring up on that topic is kind of piggybacking off of what Griff said, and that's along the lines of, why would you release this shit to the media? You just painted a huge target on that dude. Look, if the cartels are out here cutting people's heads off with machetes and shit and recording videos of it and then not getting caught, you just put a target on homeboy's back. Not saying that, you know, I agree with what dude did, because I don't. And we've had that discussion multiple times. I am completely against the killing of somebody, you know, especially who cannot defend themselves, because that's the way I look at it, right? I don't look at him as a criminal, which there's been plenty of facts that have come out, drug-related, porn-related, multiple different things that have come out about George Floyd. The man was in handcuffs and sat on by like 5 fucking people and knee to his throat and everything else. And even though he had said multiple times before he was even taken to the ground that he couldn't breathe and was having issues, the man died without the ability to fight for his own life. And that I'm not okay with. I think, you know, it comes down to a society thing where, you know, fucking the Romans might have had it right. Gladiators, at least you got a shot. You got a shot, right?
Yeah.
Now, the man should not have just died because of the situation. Obviously, it should have. And if you watch the video right here, I think this is the biggest thing for me, is if you watch the video, like the entirety of the video, not just cops on him, they got him into the vehicle. You know what I mean? They had him in the vehicle. They should have shut the goddamn doors on the vehicle, which, you know, if you've ever been inside of a police car, you cannot open those doors. They had him handcuffed. They had him in the vehicle. Another officer came around from the other side trying to help pull him into the car, pulled him in, got him in there. He started bitching and complaining while he was in the car. They then pulled him out through the other side, and that's when we ended up getting the video footage that we got. So I disagree on that regard, right? The cops should have just shut the goddamn doors and figured it out later. That would have prevented this whole situation, but they didn't. Let's see. We have a comment from MN Female. Let's see what this says. The courts have modified his release terms, and the officer is now allowed to live in any of the surrounding states due to safety concerns. They are protecting where/if he moves and has to carry a cell phone that he must answer when the Department of Corrections call at any time.
Hey, Wes, I just want to quickly interrupt and say I know who this person commenting is, and this is very, very reliable information.
That's awesome. Well, good. I'm definitely glad that this was brought to light. That's definitely some information that should be put out there, and I'm glad that it was posted when it did, so then we can give the most excuse me, can't talk right now. Most important information that we possibly can. Obviously, we're not a news breaking media source. We report on reports and discuss them after the fact. But this is definitely good information to have, especially for any of the other viewers that we have watching. Very important that we have all this information out there. So that leads me to my next thing. And this was, we're going to play a short clip, a couple minute clip. I will say this right now. You're going to hear some explicit things. You're going to hear some racist comments. You're going to hear a bunch of things, but I want you to listen to the point of this video. Listen to the words. You're going to hear very derogatory words. It is by Adam Calhoun. This song was released over a year ago, but I think it is very, very, very important to play this right now, especially with the way the world is right now. And I think it ties into what's going on right now. So this topic is called racism. Once again, disclaimer, this is a video that we're using for entertainment purposes only and to bring light to a topic that we are holding. There is a disclaimer in the description below. If you have an issue with this content and you are the copyright owner or a representative of this content from the owner of the copyright and you would like it taken down, please send an email to sincityfirearms@gmail.com and I'll be more than willing to accommodate you. But we are going to go ahead and start the video. All right, so very controversial video. It's definitely something that's going to spark some conversation for sure. It's one of those things where if you listened to the actual lyrics and you got past the derogatory words that were used, Adam Calhoun is taking, this is my impression or my opinion on the video. He took, what's the word that I'm looking for? Derogatory terms and different stereotypes. That's what I was looking for. Different stereotypes from our world, right? I'm a Caucasian male. So is Jackson Griff. And they're from Minnesota, right? So they have the same kind of setup similar to what Adam Calhoun was talking about. They could be listed as a redneck, as a hillbilly, as a cracker, as trailer trash, white trash, whatever. I fall into the same category. I mean, obviously, white male, tattoos, gun loving, pro 2A, right? Not super wealthy. I'm doing okay for myself, but I'm not super wealthy. What he's talking about, at least in my opinion, in the video, and of course there was derogatory words said. I don't advise anybody walking around saying those type of words. Bad idea. But the point of the video was to say you have white trash and then you have what he considered hillbillies, right? The better version of the white race. And then you have bleep word, fill in the blank yourself on that. And then black people, black folks, right? Where he said, basically there's good and bad to every single race. And what our government is doing to us is keeping us segregated without physically segregating buildings and common places, right? So we went from a place in this country where, if you were black, you had to come in through the back door at the restaurant, couldn't go in through the front, couldn't have the same bathroom privileges as white people. And I'm sorry, first of all, I will say this, there is not one person alive that actually knows a slave. Sorry, not true, not going to happen. But there's a lot of hatred still because of it. And unfortunately, that's what happened in the past. Now, we do not grow as a community, as a country, as a group by holding resentment for things that, A, did not happen to us directly. When we talk about slavery, yes, obviously African Americans have had a very bad string of luck when it comes to that, but they were not the only race enslaved. When you watch Rome and Greece type of things, what do you think gladiators were? They were not willing originally to do it. They were fighting for their life, literally. Most of those historical events where they had fights at the Colosseum and stuff like that were like you see depicted in movies and different documentaries on like the History Channel, where you won a couple of fights, you would earn your freedom. That's being a slave, when you're being forced to do something that is out of your control by an individual that you have no control over. It's a big topic, but the message was, if we all stay segregated and not work together, they're always going to have control over us. We need to become one and fight back when it comes to that. I'm not saying burn down buildings and all that other shit. I'm talking about physically coming together for a common purpose to say, no, we're not okay anymore.
Right. Mainly, I just want to say that no matter what races history look at, what civilizations history look at, there's always good and bad. In the past, in the future, it's just human nature. I've experienced racism myself. But unlike a lot of these people that either have actually experienced racism or perceive that they have, going out, burning buildings, looting, rioting, be the adult, keep a stiff upper lip, and just say, hey, I'm just better than that person. Walk away, learn from the experience, and move on with your life, knowing that people have their own opinions, but here in this great country, really, what can they do?
Absolutely. I think Jax wants to interject.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things too. Both of you guys, I think, kind of tie into exactly the way I feel about the message of that song. I know there was a review done about it when it first came out, where people were so offended that the N word was used in the song, and it's racist because of the N word. Well, okay, fine, you're entitled to your opinion, whatever. Let's move past that though for a minute and understand exactly what he was trying to say. Just do a bar breakdown with me for a second when he said, they pin us against each other, sit back and they watch it happen. It really makes it a little bit more understandable, where using the stereotypes, even though they may come off as offensive, they end up in the long run actually telling the realistic story of government overusing their media power, especially to pin, one race against the other, or one walk of life against another. And we need to come together. We can't be sitting there burning down buildings, rioting, looting, putting together these wannabe militias that go out there and are more of a danger to themselves and the common purpose they're trying to stop from actually continuing to happen. So overall, the message of the song is, quit your bitching about stereotypes and come together for one common purpose and actually exercise your right to a freedom of speech towards the government, and let them know exactly what you think.
Absolutely. For me, it's like you just said, where we got to stop holding on to these stereotypes and using it against each other. We are Americans, indifferent or not. We are Americans, black, white, Asian, Mexican American, whatever. Don't care if that's the right term or not. Not trying to offend anybody, but that's the reality of it. The upper class, do you think they give a shit about anything when it comes to race or green? They care about green. That's what they want. They don't care what color it is that it comes from. We're the only ones that care about color because we're fighting for our lives on a daily basis. If you don't have an extensive amount of resources and money, you're always going to have some type of prejudice towards somebody or something. It's how you act as a human being that's the most important part, in my opinion, because yes, you could not like white people. Does that mean you treat me poorly because you don't like my skin color? Or do you get to know me as a person and then make your decision? I think that's more important than just going, you're white, don't like you, don't want anything to do with you. So I'm going to go back to Griff here and let him interject.
I just want to say I completely agree with that. One of my core tenets that I try and live life by on a day-to-day basis is I never judge a man based on how he looks, really. I don't judge a man based on how he looks, his skin color, the way he dresses, or anything like that. I judge him on his character. You can be the darkest dark black, wearing fucking a polka dotted clown suit to work every day. But if you're the hardest working, most respectful person I've ever met, I'll do anything for you. It doesn't matter what you are on the outside. What matters is what you make of yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm going to speak on that for a second because I disagree with you about one part. Don't wear no goddamn polka dot clown suit, fucking nothing. I want no part of that shit. Chlorophobia is fucking real, okay? Negative. Don't wear that shit around me because I will become extremely, extremely, extremely prejudiced against your motherfucking ass. Don't do it.
You clown cyst.
Ending rant.
Anyways.
Jax. Go ahead, Jax.
Yeah, fucking definitely whatever you do, never fucking show up wearing that polka dot, clown suit. But, I definitely agree with judging people by their character. I got definitely a wide range diversity of people that I've run into ethnicity wise in my life, and especially, the African American community. A lot of the people that I've worked with or, hung out with, even just meeting them at a gathering, they're some of the nicest, most respectful people I've ever met outside of, people that.
Oh, we lost Jax.
Uh-oh.
That's not good. There, he'll pop back in here in a second, I'm assuming. Yep. But don't ever say that shit again, Griff. Not having
Sounds good.
I don't like clown suits. We're not dealing with that shit. Okay, looks like Jax is back. We're gonna let him finish his statement.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, guys. But anywho, realistically, at the end of the day, there's all different walks of life, and there's good and bad in every race. But realistically, if you're going to do a breakdown about it, the only race that truly matters is the human race. So, I'm tired of, the bitching and, this matters or that matters. No, we're all human. Some of us make more mistakes than others, but at the end of the fucking day, hike up your big boy or big girl panties, get out there, bust your ass, fight, it's not that hard to get a job. If you're sitting still trying to get back to work, go to a temp agency. Don't bitch about wanting handouts because you're not going to get one. Even though this is America, and you're entitled to freedoms, just having things handed to you just isn't going to happen. You got to go out there and get it for yourself. And that's, I think, what Griff was trying to touch on by what you make of yourself as far as your character goes. Are you going to sit at home, mope and whine and cry about not having it, or are you going to go out there and get it?
Absolutely. So to speak on that a little bit, to piggyback off what you were saying. So one of the companies that I worked for in my lifetime, I was a foreman of a construction company. unofficially titled, I guess you'd say. I used a lot of day laborers or temp agency employees, and a lot of those places will offer jobs to people with criminal backgrounds. Obviously, they try to prevent people from getting jobs that have, super violent crimes and stuff like that. But a lot of the day laborers that I had used, I knew had criminal backgrounds. Does that mean that they don't get a second chance? No. Of course, that's being prejudiced. If you're going to look at somebody's past and judge them by that, obviously, it depends on the crime, obviously. But even then, they still have to live. They got to do something. They can't just sit there. What are they going to do? They can't do that. So, there's a lot of communities that frown upon criminal activity and stuff like that. And of course, I'm part of that group. I frown upon it, but I don't think that should stop a person from being able to take care of their family and themselves in a legal fashion if they want to abide by the rules and do it the right way. Now, when people get released from prison and it's on their record and they're coming to apply for a job, that means they did their time that they were legally given to do. So we got to take that into account. It's not one of those things where you can just go, you have a criminal background, not going to hire you. That's the same thing as looking at me and going, no, you got a bunch of tattoos. Don't like the way you look. Not going to hire you. And that happens. Like one of the companies that I worked for did not want me showing my tattoos. They wanted me to wear a long sleeve shirt, regardless of the time and temperature it was outside. No matter what, they wanted me in a long sleeve shirt. They didn't want me to have a beard. They didn't want me to have my hair over a certain length. And of course, that comes down to they have the right to choose, right? It's America, but where's self-expression? None of my tattoos show racism. None of my tattoos are offensive. None of my tattoos have any play in a negative light. Because I have ink on my skin, I'm looked at as a thug, gangbanger, skinhead, whatever, right? I'll throw a bunch of derogatory words out there based off of that. And I'm looked upon as a criminal just because I have tattoos. And I'm far from that. You know what I mean? I'm trying to provide me and my family with the best of life, best life that I possibly can. And I get the prejudice, from people. I get looked at poorly because I have tattoos, and it's sad that happens. Griff, you look like you're pondering, like you want to say something. Is that true? No, you ain't got nothing to say on that? All right, that's fine. All right, so we're going to move off of the racism topic, and we are going to bring up something that Griff will be the leading debate speaker on this topic, and that is Q versus the ATF.
All right, just to quickly say something, I'd just like to stroke my beard. It's glorious. Anyways, so, for those not in the know, on August 3rd, the ATF issued Q, the company that makes the Honey Badger, the Sugar Weasel, and the Fix firearms, a cease and desist letter saying that the Honey Badger pistol is technically an SBR and not a pistol because they claim, and I quote, it is designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder. Thankfully, as of today, there is news that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is now reviewing this matter. The main topics I want to address with this is twofold. One is, why is it that the ATF can suddenly start flip-flopping back and forth on their decisions on this? But most importantly, how exactly do you prove intent? Because to me, and I really hope our viewers online can chime in, MN Female, I know, is a excellent source, being that her occupation is in the law field. That, to me, my understanding of intent is what I do, what I think, but as long as I don't write it down, how can you prove it?
So I'm going to interject a little bit.
Yep.
For me, intent is something that I intend on doing, right? And like you said, how is it proven what I intend on doing before I do it, right? Because if it's only up here, how does anybody in the world know what I intend to do? Now, I think this is something that the ATF has wrong. Because here's my thing. If they make pistol braces for actual pistols, like the MCK, the CAA pistol brace, for example, where you can take your Glock, put it into the pistol brace, and then shoulder it and or strap it to your arm, however you want to go about it. That was something that was designed for what purpose, right? I can shoot my pistol significantly more accurate with the brace on than when I would just holding it in my hand. And MN Female has just commented in, to prove intent, a person must rely on circumstantial evidence through the process of reasoning, right? So that's a good point. It's definitely shocking how this is going. When we talk about the honey badger being considered SBR and stuff like that, what does my rifle being an SBR or a short-barreled rifle have anything to do with anything? What does it matter, or why does it matter? If I have a 16-inch barrel, shoots the same caliber out as if I have an 11.5-inch barrel or a 7-inch barrel or a 20-inch barrel. The purpose of the firearm is still the same. I did not change the firing rate. I did not change the trajectory of the bullet in the sense of how it comes out. The barrel itself still reacts and delivers the package in the same format, right? Regardless if my barrel is this long or this long. Jax, get that dirty-minded look off your face. No. And there goes Griff with his dirty-minded face. Okay, regardless if your barrel is this long, or in Jax's case, this long, without the compensator. No. We're not going to go that way. But the point that I'm making is, regardless if my rifle's 17 inches, 20 inches, 30 inches, 5 feet, 2 inches, 17 inches, whatever, it doesn't matter. The bullet is still a bullet, still a barrel, still a gun, all still shoots the same. So I'm going to ask Jax directly, what do you think is the reason why an SBR is being labeled as something that needs to be regulated by the federal government?
You know, to be honest with you, bro, like you were saying, and yeah, we kind of made a joke of it. Realistically, there is no reason to, outlaw or ban the rifle just because of the length of the barrel, let alone the stock on it. So, like you said, it's not changing the firing rate at all, period. Now, I mean, granted, you definitely could tinker around, but we're not going to touch too deep on into that right this second, because we're mainly talking about the length of the barrel, especially including the stock on it. And I know me and Griff had a conversation about that, however, offline. And the length of the barrel doesn't change anything with the firearm. So banning it and considering it a SBR, I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. It's not like because it's got a shorter barrel, all of a sudden now you're going to be shooting 5,000 rounds a minute.
Absolutely. And to me, what does it matter if I'm shouldering it or if I'm holding it straight out? I don't see why there has to be a regulation on any of this. For me, I agree with regulations on stopping people from having fully autos that shouldn't have fully autos. I'm against a bunch of things. Now, let me ask you another question, and this is going to be directed directly towards Griff. SBR in its term, and the reason why I'm asking you this directly is because you've put in for that federal tax stamp, which I would like to get an update from you at some point on how that's going. But to get any of these type of ATF or NFA type of items, you have to have, let's see, hold on. MN female has posted another comment. Let's see what she is saying. So if you go out one night and purposefully rob someone, you had intent. Absolutely. And that's after committing a crime, right? That's where you're proving intent. But ultimately, if I'm out at the shooting range or if I'm out in the desert, you're going to charge me with a crime because I shouldered my rifle and I was shooting at the dirt. I guess it is my big thing. But Griff, the point I was making was with your federal tax stamp and stuff like that, it's one of those things where why is it on an SBR the problem for shouldering the rifle arises to begin with? And secondly, what does it matter if I use an angled foregrip or an AFG or a vertical foregrip, which is highly illegal on an SBR because now you're making it in any other weapon and changing what? What are you changing? The way you grip the gun.
So, to quickly quash the small question, I have yet to submit for my SBR paperwork yet. I'm currently waiting on my suppressor paperwork, but I will be doing SBR paperwork here pretty soon. Unfortunately, I feel like you guys have missed the topic I was bringing up, which mainly was the ATF's main problem with this is the stabilizing brace used on the honey badger, saying that just because of the supposed geometry or something along those lines, it proves some sort of intent that it's supposed to be shouldered. Which, again, how that technically we can look at things like the KAK Shockwave, a really thin blade that's so ambiguous that we can't tell is it supposed to be shouldered? Is it a forearm brace? What's the intent of that? At which point, unless there is written documentation, how do we prove it? And MN female posted again. I hope that helps. If you take that gun outside the gun range and shoulder it, knowing it can be harmful, that can fall under intent. Proving it is where the lawyers get paid the big money. That is a excellent view and some clarification on the subject, which I suppose if you're caught at that point firing your stabilizing braced pistol from your shoulder, you are knowingly intending to use it as a SBR configuration. Whereas this ATF case is going off of the design aspect. How can we prove the intent of the design aspect of the honey badger?
Right. And I get that. So I personally own an SBA 3 brace. Yep. I own a Shockwave blade. I have their smaller version. I also have the XL version. of the blade. And I guess for me, it's personal comment that I'm going to make here. If I'm out in the desert and I'm shooting and I happen to cheek weld it, I'm not even going to say putting it onto my shoulder because I don't completely put it onto my shoulder anyways. For me, when you're holding your rifle and you lean forward and you have it out, I'm bringing it up and directly back to my cheek line. So in reality, it's not even really touching my shoulder, or if it is, it's very slightly touching my shoulder. But I'm not using it to stabilize the firearm. Does that make sense? So I guess for MN female in that particular scenario of what I just stated, that using the brace that's being talked about, they're talking about the design aspect of it. Let's talk about the shockwave a little bit. That does not have any function on it to secure it to your arm like a stabilizing pistol brace from the SBA 3 version, which actually mounts to your arm with Velcro. By bringing it up to my cheek, if it slightly touches my shoulder, did I intend on shouldering that firearm? By cheek welding the pistol tube. Because ultimately, even without that, if I just had the buffer tube with a rubber pad on it and I brought it up to my cheek, is that considered shouldering? Because that's basically the same position that I would hold my other rifles in that are full length. What do you think, Griff?
Well, really at this point, I think that all the ATF is doing is splitting hairs. They're just trying to create waves, knowing that this is an election year, and stir up trouble to try and sway people to one side or the other. Because, as we all know, the ATF has been flip-floppy in this topic. First they were good, then they were bad. Now they're good again. Now we can shoulder them. Now you can't. Now you can. Now we don't care. Really, quite honestly, I just believe someone was bored at the ATF and said, you know what, let's just go and shit on someone's parade.
Yeah,
All right, so Jax, what are your feelings on SBR shouldering, intent to shoulder? Basically, what are your feelings on the topic that we've been discussing?
I mean, realistically, it's no different whether it's got the actual stock on there or if it's just the plain buffer tube. If you're bringing it up, you're, like you said, that's a good question. Are you still technically shouldering your weapon, like you would with a butt stock on? And if they're going to charge, people with having the butt stock on and considering it a SBR, if they have intent to shoulder it, they should be doing the same thing for weapons without a butt stock. However, I'm not necessarily saying that because we don't need any more unnecessary bullshit laws that are coming into place because of, the election year and them trying to flip-flop back and forth to play their cards right with, the election taking place. But, if you're going to do and, add charges to doing one thing across the board, saying there's intent to injure people, I mean, I'm sorry, then you got to charge everybody else that doesn't have it too. And then good luck, having your guys want to fill out all that paperwork and actually file it.
Okay, so now I do have a question, and I'm going to leave this for open interruption in the event that it actually happens. I just thought of something, and I don't know the law on this whatsoever, so I do want to do some research on this, and we will probably have a definitive answer for you on the next live stream. The question that I have is, I have AR pistols. When I built them, because that's what I did, I built them. I bought the lower, and it's registered through the background check or whatever as a pistol lower. So it's built in the configuration with a pistol brace on it. Now, Griff might be the one to be able to answer this directly, just because you're dealing with federal tax stamp stuff at the moment. Now, I know with a pistol, an AR pistol, I can take the upper off of it, take the buttstock off, or the brace off, excuse me. Whoa, better watch what the hell I say right now. Take the brace off. If I put a full-sized upper on it and put the buttstock on it from an actual rifle, I can use it as a rifle legally, right? And then I can take it back apart and turn it back into a pistol. If I take my AR pistol and I get a federal tax stamp, can I then register my AR pistol as an SBR because I want to shoulder it? And then if I decide later that I want to turn it back into just a pistol for whatever reason, this is hypothetically speaking. Obviously, if I have it registered as an SBR, I'm probably going to just keep it as an SBR. But does that law still apply? Can I take it back to a pistol after it was already bought as a pistol?
Honestly, I have to say thank you for having that sort of trust in me. I can't give you a good answer on that. My understanding about that is very vague. To me, it's a very gray area.
Yeah, that's why I asked that.
I do know a former, now retired federal prosecutor that did work in firearm cases where this was his forte, that I could ask and get a better answer on that. But especially on the legal aspect, I don't feel comfortable providing any opinion whatsoever when I'm so indecisive on the topic itself.
And that's fair. That's fair to say. But I think that's a good question. Why can't I take an AR pistol, turn it into a full-sized rifle, and then take it back down to a pistol just because when I bought it to build, it was classified as a pistol?
Right.
If I'm building an SBR, that means rifle, which is it's just a short-barreled rifle. Can I take my pistol, turn it into a rifle with a federal tax stamp, of course, because that's the legal way of doing it, and then go, fuck it. I don't want this one to be a short-barreled rifle. I want it to be an AR pistol, and go back to it.
Right. Just to quickly say, somewhat off topic, I'm chatting with M and Female right now. Just to talk directly to her. Don't worry about it. I know a different person that works in law or used to work in law that she doesn't have to research specifically, as this person, that's what he did for a living for many years. But I definitely see where you're coming from, Wes. It's kind of one of those deals where you buy a Monte Carlo, and one day you want to call it a truck, the next day you want to call it a car. Really, it could be either or.
I believe you were talking about El Camino, but
yes, thank you. It's been a long night.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to do a little bit of research, so we're going to move on to the next topic while I do some research. This is a Jack's topic. It was brought up in the last live stream, and we talked about tourniquets directly as the CLS training, and then Jack's tried to throw me under the bus and check my medical knowledge. I'm prepared for his ass this time, but here we go. CLS training. Jax, go ahead and kick that off.
All right. So, as I said to the guys offline, there's a lot of different parts to CLS training. So it's not just tourniquets. There's other things in your IFAC that could include anything up to compression bandage, chest seals, nasopharyngeal, tubes that go in your airway to allow you to breathe. So I figure this week we're going to do a little bit of in-depth discussion here real quick on the combat compression wrap. Now, what that is it's basically a oversized ace bandage, but instead of it just being an ace bandage, there's a piece of built-in combat gauze, as well as a windage tie down, and then the ace bandage hook. So that's used for more of like what me and Wes were talking about last week on the episode, where I kind of threw them under the bus a little bit and through the hypothetical situation. If you get shot under the cummerbund and you have a through and through, that's something you're going to want to use along with packing actual loose leaf combat gauze into the wound to stop the bleeding. And the way you apply that is when you're putting it on, you want to make sure the gauze pad that's on the actual wrap itself is down on top of the wound. And it's usually for extremities that, are too large for the tourniquet. So like your torso would be the main one that you want to use it on. But, let's say you already got the tourniquet running, you can also use the combat bandage there on the extremities, your arms, your legs, and still be okay with stopping the bleeding. So once you get the gauze down over the wound, you want to wrap it around one time first and put the bandage itself through your windlass clip there, and then bring it back the other direction to put tension on it and continue to wrap until you're all out of bandage and all you have left is the sealing clip. Once you get to the sealing clip, you're going to want to obviously seal it almost like you would an ace bandage. And, again, this is going to be kind of a weird scenario. We've already talked about tourniquets, but now I'm going to touch on not only that, but the combat gauze itself and how that those two tie in. So I'm going to ask both you guys here a question. Yeah, and it's not necessarily a hypothetical situation or to throw anybody under the bus. However, if it wasn't a through and through shot, and those were the two things you had to use, and it wasn't necessarily that deep for some odd reason, let's just say it was, straight up front and somehow made it through the plate carrier just enough to puncture little ways into your skin. Are you going to necessarily want to patch that wound up with both or one or the other? We'll start with Griff.
I do have to apologize. When you say both, do you mean the wrap and what else?
Wrap and then the loose combat gauze.
Well, if we're talking just barely poking through your plate carrying, barely going into the skin, the loose combat gauze, to my knowledge and training, is really only used for packing. If there isn't anything to pack, why would you reach for the gauze? It'd be better just to wrap it, prevent any excess bleeding, keeps slight pressure on the wound, and call it good.
Wes, your take?
Repeat the question.
So let's just say you got shot, or your battle buddy got shot, okay? And it made it through the plate carrier, but not deep enough to do a through and through into your battle buddy's actual body. Are you going to want to use both the loose leaf combat gauze as well as the compression bandage, or just compression bandage, or just a loose leaf, or what kind of configuration would you run?
So you said went through the plate carrier, but didn't necessarily do what to the person?
Do a through and through, so like in and out.
Oh, it's stuck in the person.
It's stuck.
Oh, well, obviously, first you got to get the bullet out, right? Because that's not good. I would pack it and then bandage it. After I get the bullet out, try to stop the bleeding, pack it, and then bandage it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got a point there. Trying to get the bullet out would be one of the first things, but yeah, again, not to throw anybody under the bus in a combat situation, you're probably not going to have time necessarily to get the bullet out. But I understand where you're coming from. So getting it out is one of the first things that you obviously anybody wants to do if their best friend out on the battlefield got shot. And then packing the wound to kind of clot up that blood from the inside and putting that compression bandage on to stop the wound itself from leaking out and them bleeding all over the place would be definitely probably one of the best ways to stop it and save your battle buddy from completely going foobarred and dying on the field.
Yeah. So I guess to answer your question more detailed to the question that you asked, combat situation, obviously, then even then, I guess in that particular instance, if the bullet's still lodged in there and there's still a fight to be had, my answer would still be pack it and bandage it, even with the bullet in. If I have to, for right now, I need to try to mitigate bleeding and still stay in the fight. You know what I mean? Pack it, bandage it, tell them put pressure on it. I'm coming back. Get back to the fight, finish the fight, then go into more detailed of a medical treatment state. And of course, call medevac or whatever you have to do to try to, get it done. But if you're in a scenario where you don't have that instance where you can easily remove the bullet, I'd still say pack and bandage and apply pressure. Find a way to apply more pressure. But then you also, I guess, I get a little bit too detailed in these type of scenarios just because I start running scenarios through my head. Like, say we were all on a battlefield. I got Griff as Overwatch. Why I feel like he would be Overwatch, I don't know. I guess it's the way he looks. I'd put him behind a long gun and put him up in a perch somewhere. Because I feel like he's going to have better long distance shot than I will. So maybe that's why I feel like that would be the best there. And say, I'm going to use you. You're the one that gets shot.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess maybe.
Then I'd pull you behind the barrier or wherever kind of cover that I could possibly get you behind and say, well, good luck. Got to go. Run back to the fight. Throw my gauze pack at you. Throw the ace bandage at you and say, you know what to do, right, Mr. CLS trainer? And then take off running and then get back to the fight. No, but in a serious note, the scenario that I put an image in my head of the actual scenario. And of course, I don't think we'd be sitting in a 3-man team. We'd have a little bit more backup than that. I would definitely pull you back, give you proper instruction if you didn't already know, try to help you as much as I can, but ultimately, if you're shot and I'm shot, we got Griff behind a long gun. We're both fucking screwed at that point. Medical wise, not because of Griff being on the long gun. That came out wrong. Griff is dying laughing. That's not what I meant to say. We're not both fucked if Griff is behind the long gun. That's not what I meant. But what I am talking about is he going to get to us in time? We've all played Call of Duty. We know them fucking death counters. You start crawling, you're taking away life span and stuff like that. But if you can't get the bullet out immediately, would you agree pack and bandage and wrap is appropriate until someone who can dedicate full on time to medical treatment can provide that treatment?
Yeah, and that's I agree with that totally because. And this, I know I didn't really touch on too much in the first CLS training, class, if you will, that we ran here. But there's 2 different types of care. There's obviously your hospitalization care, which is, what you're talking about, somebody that can dedicate their time to actually taking care of the wound or, the medical problem that's taking place in depth compared to care under fire, which is basically what we're talking about when we're talking CLS. Under fire, I know you guys know, but for our viewers and listeners that don't know what care under fire is, it's when you're on the battlefield and your buddy fucking gets hit and you got to get, them out of there. So this way you can fucking quick bandage them up and get them, out of there, call up a 9-line or medevac. So this way, you can get back on into the fight yourself and still try to save their life.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we're definitely running way longer than our normal show times. We do like to try to keep it about an hour. I think we've had some really, really good discussion today on this live stream. Glad to announce that we've got the new Sincity Tactical logo running. We got a bunch of those going. There actually is merch up right now with the new logos on them in different varieties of the logo. There's, of course, the one that you see up in the top right-hand corner. Then there's one with a banner underneath it. Go on the Facebook page. Look for the comments or the post that was posted. Pick your favorite logo. They're listed 1 through 6. Leave a comment on there on what your favorite logo is by using that number, depending on the order of the pictures. And let me know what you think. We're trying to accommodate the masses as well. And big shout out that I want to put out there, because this is not going to happen before the next live stream show. Today is what, the 10th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, come the 12th, we got some big news. Jax is getting his big boy panties finally. He's stepping up, getting into that 26, the big 2.6, right?
Oh, big 2.5 there, brother.
2.5. Oh shit! I thought 2.6. Nope, he's in medium-sized panties. He ain't in big boys yet. He's getting there. He's getting there. So shout out to you, brother. Happy early birthday.
Hey, thank you.
You have a gift on the way in the mail. And from my understanding, that gift is coming and should be there within the next couple of days. It looks the 13th or the 14th is what I'm seeing. So happy birthday to you. That gift is on its way.
Hey, sweet. That'll be perfect timing before next live stream.
Absolutely. Griff, you want to open up a Q&A?
Well, currently I'm just covering the YouTube feed right now, and we don't have anyone on YouTube, unfortunately. But I do have to say, it's been a massive help having MN Female constantly commenting and feeding us information.
Absolutely.
I do have to say that I know her very personally, and just to protect anonymity and for legal reasons, I'm just going to divulge that she does work in the legal field and is willing to help us with further legal situations, provided we give her time to research and prepare.
Indeed. And, I'm not going to get too detailed into it, but I will say I have also met said MN female, and I appreciate the fact that she is willing to help us when it comes down to the legalities of things. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Once again, like they've all stated, very glad to have you be a part of the live stream shows and the channels. To be there is huge. You're going to give us a perspective from the law side that we may not have, and you can allow us to correct certain questions and give more detailed answers. So I think that's going to be huge for our community and our brand to be able to provide super accurate information on these topics. But we are going to wrap this up. Thanks, guys, for coming in and doing the super long live stream with me. If you want to go ahead and check that host chat real quick, that would be much appreciated. And for everybody on YouTube, Facebook, like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us either on Sincity Tactical or Minnesota Overlanders on Facebook, excuse me. You can also find it on Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically anywhere you can get a podcast. We're out there. And once again, make sure you check out sincitytactical.xyz or minnesotaoverlander.xyz, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks